The 2023 presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, visited Kano on Sunday to meet with former Kano State Governor and political heavyweight Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. Kwankwaso also hosted Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde and former Governor of Bayelsa State, Seriake Dixon, at the 10th annual Dandalin Kwankwasia on Sunday at the Kano residence of the NNPP national leader. Reports say, barring any last-minute changes, former Kano State Governor Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso is set to defect to the African Democratic Congress ahead of the 2027 general elections. Kwankwaso reportedly reached this decision after delegating Buba Galadima to initiate negotiations with ADC leaders. His move follows the recent judgment of the Court of Appeal, which affirmed the leadership of the New Nigeria People's Party faction led by Agbo Major against that of Ajuji Ahmed, who is aligned with Kwankwaso. And now to the People's Democratic Party, as the Wike-led PDP has begun preparation for this weekend's national convention to elect new national officers and accuses Governor Seyi Makinde of shopping for a court order to stop the convention from holding. Moving on, ahead of its weekend national convention, the All Progressives Congress, APC, has fixed Tuesday, 24th March, for the screening of aspirants seeking to contest for national offices. The screening, scheduled to take place 3 days before the party's convention on 27th of March, will be conducted by the Aspirants Screening Committee, chaired by Issa Yuguda. Meanwhile, the APC is facing severe internal crisis just days before its national convention at Eagle Square, as some aspirants allege a tactical approach to exclude them from the race through the denial of nomination forms. While the party leadership insists on a state of readiness for the March 26 and 27 ballot, the surfacing of anointed candidates and the hoarding of expression of interest documents suggest a house divided against itself. Well, joining us on Political Brief to discuss these stories is Arise Director of News and Politics Editor, Somna Sambo. Good morning, Somna. A full morning for you today with the stories. Good morning.
Good morning, Nayo. Good morning, Dr. Bati. And good morning, Rufai.
Good morning, Sambo.
Well, Sambo, I wouldn't worry myself about APC. I think within the APC, they will find a way of sorting things out. Given their dominance at both party and intra-party or inter-party levels. But the major story would seem to be Peter Obi showing up in Kano and screaming Kwankwasia. And also, at the same time, we had Seriake Dixon there, who is in the NDC. And then we have Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo State, all converging in Kano to spend the Eid al-Fitr celebration post-Ramadan season with Dr. Rabiu Kwankwaso. The narrative says, Kwankwaso is going to go to the ADC. Is it possible he's heading towards the NDC? Because the scenarios are not so clear. The only thing that is clear, in my view, is that there will be a lot of alignments and realignments, and I had given some permutations at the very beginning of this program. But you say he's heading for the ADC. How certain are you? And if he goes to the ADC, as you say, what chances will he have there? Perhaps he wants to go to NDC, where we hear that, President Jonathan may be part of the bargain. There's so much still in the air, but I would like to hear what you have heard and what you think. Now, as for PDP, they were talking about reconciliation. Now, the Wike faction now says there's going to be a convention. Now, questions that need to be asked will be, one, there is a case in the Court of Appeal in Ibadan. There's another case at the Supreme Court. So reconciliation seems to be dead on arrival. Seyi Makinde doesn't seem to think reconciliation will work. Governor Ikpeazu doesn't seem to believe in it. If the Wike faction says they are going ahead with the convention, based on what? A congress that they had organized earlier on that was not recognized, since it's a congress organized by another faction that is recognized. there's this register, e-registration. It's another faction that conducted the e-registration of members. On the basis of which register will the Wike faction conduct, election or take part in the election? So what are the implications of these contradictions, omissions for the future of the PDP?
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Bati. Well, I will advise that you actually pay attention to the APC. Don't just deflect the issue of the APC, because it has to do with the issues of internal democracy within our political parties. Don't forget what has brought PDP to where it is at the moment is as a result of that, including the decision to print only one form for the position of national chairmanship, which was given to Kabiru Tanemuturaki, SAN, and then, of course, Sule Lamido were excluded. Sule Lamido had to go to court. Now we're beginning to see those kind of steps coming up in the APC. And people are being told, oh no, we've already zoned this national chairmanship position to this part of the country. And a group has already come to purchase the form. So nobody else is available to give a form, or there's no form available. The same thing with the position of national secretary in the party. And the party seems to, through its body language, be telling its members that these two key positions are no-go areas. That of the national secretary has already been zoned to Osun State, and we know the incumbent is there. So why is the APC going on the national convention if these positions are not vacant? These are some of the issues we talk about, and party members have, made to feel as if they don't matter because certain members of the political party, gather the rights of everybody and assume that they can decide for everybody. Then it's no longer a democratic system. All political parties, irrespective of whether you're governing or you're an opposition, you're supposed to be very democratic. And we are beginning to see those signs of imposition. This is always the problem with the APC. Don't forget, that was the same attitude they carry way into 2021, 2022, that eventually made them to start having like about 3 to 4 national chairmen here and there, caretaker committees, all sort of absurdities coming on before they had to stabilize ahead of the 2023 general election. So I will ask that you pay special attention because if people are looking for forms to buy and they are not able to buy, and some people are being asked to just step aside, not to partake in the system. Even if the president wants someone, you can use your leverage to see how everybody, it's going to be a direct primary or a consensus system. Through the consensus, we can see the APC is already working out lots of things. The governors are having their way and all of that, which is even making it to look undemocratic. But nonetheless, I will advise that you actually pay serious attention to the APC, because the APC as a governing party is supposed to be showing the way for other political parties to follow. And if we are beginning to hear these early complaints, then there's a problem. Why would somebody pay for form and then the form is not available? So why did you sell it? Why did you collect the person's money? So these are some of the issues we are going to be saying. So let's pay attention to the governing party as it heads into its convention, national convention. Yeah, we know that Yilwada had already been elected, had already been chosen by the NEC and all of that. But nonetheless, there needs to be a convention to ratify all of this. And that's why he has to subject himself, because it was just a section of the party that sat down and brought him, not the entire members of the party. But with the national convention, everybody in the party comes together and legitimizes the leadership. So there shouldn't be a situation whereby some people feel that certain seats in the political parties are reserved for them. Then if that's the case, that means that's what we're heading to in 2027, when the governing party will think nobody should compete with it because it's the incumbent. No, things are not done that way. Now, let's go to some of the issues that you have raised as per the critical visit that happened yesterday in Kano. Now, this is Olusegun Obasanjo's desire. Actually, I've been speaking with lots of people, and they tell me that this is what looks like the last gift that Olusegun Obasanjo, former president of Nigeria, thinks he can give to Nigeria's democratic process by seeing how he can bring some younger elements, quote, within the angle of Nigerian politics. You know, when you say young, it means between 60 to 65 to 70. Seeing how you can bring them together to actually see how, you know, they can, you know, help the democratic process to be strengthened, and there will be a strong opposition, and then of course battling the governing party in 2027. Because the way things are going, most of them are not feeling happy that it may look like a one-way contest in 2027. And don't forget, sometime around December, there was a committee that was set up by Olusegun Obasanjo, who had brought some elements between then Labour Party leader Peter Obi, who's now in the ADC, and then Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. So that committee was set up in December. And Magaji Ibrahim, who happens to be a senior advocate of Nigeria, and the National Legal Advisor of the NMPP before this court judgment in the NMPP, had confirmed that meeting, and they had said that, look, they had been approached. He himself was a member of that committee, and they're already working towards that. So in the ADC, you look at the permutations that are ongoing now, with the South-South ADC already adopting Rotimi Amechi, and you see the article is already strong there. Can Obasanjo and all these people who are trying to mull an Obi Kwankwaso ticket have their way in the ADC? Is there any way that they can, you know, adopt the formula of a reconciliatory approach, where they can adopt the sort of system that Babangida used in the aborted Third Republic, where he brought about the issues of new breed politicians, asking older politicians to stay away, although that was a decree that excluded the people, the likes of Shehu Musa Yar'Adua and all of that, and then, you know, Adamu Chiroma and all of that. Can this happen in the ADC? Now, if that will happen, then, of course, Atiku Abubakar will have to be a part of the process. Then, of course, people like Rotimi Amechi will have to be a part of the process. So, but, I mean, if you look at it, Obasanjo seems to be bringing back what he had tried in 2023, when he tried to, sometime around 2022, move around with Peter Obi across the north, using Professor Ango Abdullahi of the Northern Elders Forum to see how the north can be galvanized towards, you know, seeing Obi, you know, being given a ticket and then being supported by the North. That didn't happen. And when eventually Obi would then go ahead and get the Labour Party ticket, he still tried to see how Kwankwaso can join him. But Kwankwaso said no. He is a more experienced politician, a two-term governor, former two-term governor, former Minister of Defense. He had been a former Deputy Speaker, so he was more politically experienced than Peter Obi. But now, seeing that President Tinubu had himself wanted to get Kwankwaso, but some of the conditions that Kwankwaso put in place were not accepted, and this NMPP judgment had come in place, wouldn't it be like, you know, a golden opportunity for Kwankwaso to now go back to that initial arrangement? Well, these are the things that people are saying, and I've spoken to a few people in Kano last night and including this morning, and they are saying that, look, Kwankwaso is beginning to be appealed to that you know, decision, that desire and so on, as long as the elders of the ADC are able to contain all other groups and they are able to ensure that this system is perfected and it is battered in 2027. Now, as to the issues of the PDP, yeah, it is very clear that Governor Seyi Makinde doesn't want to be in the same political group with Nyesom Wike any longer. This is the same thing that Bala Mohammed has said, chairman of the PDP Governors Forum, that he doesn't see himself being in the same camp with Nyesom Wike because Nyesom Wike had betrayed the PDP, which made him who he is, including giving him the platform over the years to advance his political future. But look at it very well. These three persons are the people who have held on to this PDP for quite some time. And then party members are beginning to say, whatever happens, whether the PDP survives or not, these three persons will be held responsible in the future. You talked about the digital register. That digital register is going to be the albatross of the Wike-led PDP, or whether it is Seyi Makinde's PDP that eventually, you know, succeeds. But with the way things are going and the way I've been able to speak with a few persons, is either Seyi Makinde would be defecting to the ADC, or he will stay back, fight, and ensure that his candidate, who he wants to succeed him, move into that party and they stay in the PDP and finally kill the PDP. Because the thinking is that if they cannot resurrect the PDP right now, then Nyesom Wike should not have the PDP in 2031 to be able to advance his political cause. Because they already hear that he's going to use the PDP in 2031 to advance his cause. But if you were Nyesom Wike, what will you do? Because, for example, in 2023, the same Wike and Seyi Makinde were all on in the same camp, working together. So if you look at it from that angle, you will see that Nyesom Wike himself is somebody that cannot be pushed around. And with the political permutations that are ongoing at the moment, there's a likelihood that he will also not want the party to go to the Supreme Court fully. But then here they have gone. Because Nyesom Wike also has other candidates, aspirants now for different political positions who want to contest. But the APC is not absorbing them. And then he feels that he has a structure in the PDP that can absorb them. So now it is not in his interest for PDP not to go into this election in 2027. Because where will he fix all these people? If you look at some of the congresses that have been conducted, most of his people have emerged and all of that. So he's also trying to look for a win-win situation to ensure that the party scales through, but will not be presenting a presidential candidate, but there will be governorship candidates, senatorial candidates, House of Rep candidates, and so on. But how that will work out is where the main challenge is, because with this new, promotion of the ADC that we are seeing yesterday in Kano, I can tell you that the body language seems to be that Governor Bala Mohammed and Seyi Makinde may send their proxies into the ADC while they wait in the PDP to battle it out and ensure that it's either the PDP goes to the elections now fully, or it's not available for anybody to use in 2031.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Sona, for that. Oh, gosh, it's going to be quite a journey towards the race or the road to 2027. But of course, it starts with the congresses, the primaries, and the conventions, and the primaries. And we'll see how that will pan out. We look forward to seeing you again next week, Monday, now for a robust analysis of the conventions over the weekend.